podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
100 days away from two major sporting events in the UK, we are heading into the home straight. I'm Michael.
And I'm John, and this is Anything But Footy, the Olympic and Paralympic sport podcast. We talk about the Olympics and the Paralympics all the time, not once every 4 years.
So Glasgow 2026, the Commonwealth Games, is now less than 100 days away. And the first ever European Athletics Championships in this country is just over 100 days away. What a summer we have in store.
The Europeans holds a special place in my heart. The first major title that I won was Europeans in 1998.
You just don't know how long your career is going to be. And if it's one thing that I regret is not saying yes to more of the big competitions.
Former European sprint champions Darren Campbell and Ashleigh Nelson as tickets go on sale again for the home straight at the Alexander Stadium in Birmingham.
Yeah, I know tickets are a bit of a sore subject with you at the moment, but we will hear from both. We'll also talk relays with Darren, who of course is in charge of sprints, hurdles and relays at UK Athletics. And we will also talk to Ashleigh Nelson about her Winter Olympics experience.
Plus the rest of the news from the Games, including more withdrawals from the London Marathon and a roundup of sporting retirements.
This is Anything But Footy. Download, listen, follow. We're gearing up for Glasgow and looking ahead to LA. So let's start with this breaking news this afternoon about the European Athletics Championships in Birmingham. Demand for tickets has been so high, so to ensure as many people can come as possible, they are releasing more for the home straight at the Alexander Stadium for this summer. Birmingham is staging the first ever European Athletics Championships in the UK. It starts on the 10th of August. And now new seats for all sessions, including those that we previously thought had sold out on the Friday, Saturday and Sunday nights, have all been unlocked. We will bring you details of how you can get yours shortly. But firstly, let's find out why you have to be there. I've been speaking to Olympic gold medalist and three-time European champion Darren Campbell. It's amazing, isn't it, to think that this is going to be the first time that the UK's actually hosted a European Championships outdoors.
It's crazy. It's crazy. When I did hear that, I was like, I went back through the history of my life and I went, yeah, that's true. I've been coming to Birmingham now for 35 years. Won't forget my first time here racing, probably at the age of 14, 15. So this stadium's always been a big, iconic stadium. And it's great that for us to have the Europeans for the first time, that it's in a stadium where there's so much history. As I say, 35 years. Over those 35 years, I've seen Colin Jackson run here. I've raced against Linford Christie, Sally Gornall, Denise Lewis. You know, when you talk about the greats of our sport, the people that inspired people like me, inspired the next generation, it all starts from Birmingham, the British Trials or whatever national age group competition. It starts in Birmingham. So for Birmingham to get their flowers of hosting the Europeans for the first time in the UK, I think they'll do a great job.
And these new home straight tickets that are going on sale for people that maybe didn't get tickets initially, you know all about what it's like to compete on the home straight, of course.
Yeah. Listen, when it comes to the home straight, that's my house. The 100 meters, the 200 meters, sometimes last leg in the relay, then working in broadcasting. Going to 3 Olympics, sitting on the home straight, commentating, not far from the finish line. So yeah, the people that are lucky enough to grab these tickets, these are like the golden tickets for me. The closest you are to the action, you're the closest area to where the medals will be decided, and you get to see the action first. So yeah, these are the hottest tickets. So anybody trying to get hold of these, they need to be extremely quick.
We know there's a special currency to an Olympic gold medal, and you have one, of course, from the relays. But what was it like to become a European champion individually, waking up the fastest man in Europe?
Yeah, the Europeans holds a special place in my heart. The first major title that I won was the Europeans in 1998. And I think it was a massive stepping stone for me because I prepared all year to stand at the top of that podium. And I remember after the semi-final just thinking, like, nobody can beat me. It's the only way I lose this medal is if I don't believe in myself and I trust that all the work that I've done. So regardless of what your thought is before you enter that race, the whole point is to keep you calm, and so that you perform at your best. And yeah, when I actually crossed the line, I think I knew maybe 5 meters out that this is done. I think I remember putting up my arms and I think I outstretched my arms and was like, yeah. And it's that feeling of just being on top, but also winning that title. I had pride in that title. Now I wasn't just the best in Britain; I'm the best in Europe. So anytime I went out on that world or Olympic stage, I wasn't just doing it for Great Britain at that point. I was doing it because I'm European champion. So, like, I represent a continent, and I have to go out there and be my best. So I was always one that was happy to embrace whatever that is. But definitely winning the Europeans really did give me the belief that, okay, you can be one of the best in the world and you can have Olympic success. So that's what I'm hoping will come from this games here. We're 2 years out before LA. We've got so many talented athletes. I think the noise inside the stadium, the whole environment, the whole experience will only bode well going into LA. But I think we'll see some unbelievable performances.
And for the athletes that are going to be competing this summer in Birmingham, it's a home championships. I guess for you, that might take you back a little bit to Manchester in 2002. You were very much the face of those games, I recall. So these athletes this year, this time around, they'll have that opportunity. It's special, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. People often ask me, what's my favorite medal? Is it the Commonwealth Games or the Olympic gold? And it changes probably every 5 years or 2 years, or dependent, because they're two totally different experiences. But what I'll tell you about competing in Manchester in front of a home crowd, that was the most nervous I ever was in my whole career. Driving into Manchester, seeing my face on a board 6 months out. I'd walk around Manchester and people would be like, "Oh, I've bought tickets for the final," and what they didn't know is I'd been injured like the whole of 2001, and I didn't even know if I'd make the team. And to this day, I still don't know how I came out of there with a bronze and a gold medal. Um, I kind of do. It was the crowd. I didn't want to let anybody down. Anybody who'd bought a ticket, I didn't want to let down. Um, People I'd grown up around, family members, people, acquaintances, whoever. With it being in Manchester, it was one of those where, yeah, you're gonna have to beat me. I'm not gonna give up on trying to achieve. So to come out of there, first getting the bronze medal in the 200 meters, I think I just scraped into the final, and I was able again to pull out something special. But that was the crowd, because walking to that final, um, around the side of the track, every step that I took, I'd hear somebody go, "Come on, Darren, you can do it." And if yeah, you won't probably know this, but yeah, on the way to the start line, I actually started shedding tears because of the love and support that I was receiving. And it just meant once I was able to settle myself and control myself, I think I was in lane 8. I just gave everything and got a bronze medal. So I didn't know how, and then obviously the goal beating the Jamaicans. I don't normally run last leg, but yeah, to hold off a Safa Powell and win that Commonwealth gold in front of a home crowd, it was all down to the crowd, and that's what we'll see in Birmingham. Because to this day, I can only put it down to the crowd. The crowd gave me so much belief in myself when I didn't really have it, that I was willing to fight.
I was in Paris trackside at the Olympics for Talk Sport, interviewing all the medalists. Brilliant, privileged position. 5 relay medals there. And then obviously at the last World Championships, it didn't go quite so well. And have spoken to Paula Dunn. She said that you were going to do a full review of the relays and everything. How do you kind of reflect now on that World Championships last summer?
Look, I always knew last year would be difficult. One, because the championships were in Tokyo, and more importantly, the athletes that represent Great Britain are robots. And if I'd have said to anybody before we went into Paris, we're going to win 5 medals, the media would have said, "You're crazy. How?" If I'd have said we'd be the only nation to come away from the Olympics in Paris with 5 relay medals, everybody would have said you're crazy again, because America are going to win 5 and whoever else. Our reality, or the coach's reality, was that those athletes that won those medals that you interviewed gave everything. Okay, they didn't give half. There was no luck there for us to do what we did. I know the athletes gave me everything. That's what I asked from them. The coaching staff gave everything. So I know that there's a hangover. That is my reality. That is what I knew. You only have to look back on my career after the Olympics. There's a hangover because when you achieve something that is unbelievable, nobody knows what the ramifications of you achieving that are going to be. So I also then knew that some athletes would get hurt, some would retire. So it's very difficult at that point to plan like we had done previously. So yeah, I didn't think it would be that bad, but yeah, I did know it's going to be very difficult to do what we did because it was the perfect storm and the athletes gave everything. So to ask them then the following year, some of who achieved dreams they probably didn't think were real. We're talking about relay 400-meter athletes that came away with 2 Olympic medals. Like, they would have been happy for 1 during their career and they're left with 2. So to think that we would be able to replicate that the following year, I had to be realistic. But yes, I didn't expect it to be like that. And what it allowed us to do is just dig deeper, create a structure. We've got fantastic athletes, we've got fantastic young athletes, and let's join the dots. Yeah, because we'll be judged again in LA. That's my reality. I already heard people saying, oh yeah, it's great that they got 5 medals, but they didn't get any gold. Okay, so these things take time. There's no miracles out here. We're human beings dealing with real life all the time, and in that, don't get me wrong. Criticism is part of the job, so this isn't an attack at anybody, but I can only share our reality. That is our reality. But those medals, what it did allow us to do is give that belief that actually being part of the relay setup and being part of that relay team can bring some great success and some great moments. So it's inspired the generation, as I would hope. And yeah, we've got our targets for LA. But yes, 100% disappointed with what happened in Tokyo. And as always, I've got a fantastic boss in Paula Dunn, but I take full responsibility, no one else.
Just finally, then, you talk about LA. You mentioned 2028 2 or 3 times there, but Birmingham 2026 and the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow as well will be important stepping stones. And you would encourage people to come and see the likes of Dina Asher-Smith and Amy Hunt and Jeremiah Azu and Zarnell Hughes and all these other big names that we're going to see on that home straight.
Yeah, 100%. I think all those that were inspired by what happened in Paris, you'll be able to see those athletes live and direct in your home nation. And I know the home crowd will lift the athletes to performances that maybe the athletes didn't realize were in them right at this time. And as you said, with regards to stepping stones, yeah, it's how can I put it? It's an opportunity to come back in a big way and just show everybody, yes, last year was last year, but look where we actually are. I think it began with the indoors, lots of happy athletes. Look, the most important thing for us as an organization is creating a culture that the athletes can thrive in. As I say, they're human beings first and foremost. There's going to be successes, there's going to be disappointments, there's going to be moments where we have to lift these athletes, but with Birmingham 26 happening, Europeans, massive stepping stone. We don't need to lift the athletes. It's almost like the perfect storm. We had that disappointment of Tokyo. We have to put it behind us, or let me rephrase that. The athletes have to put it behind them. Us as a coaching staff have to learn lessons and come back stronger. And yeah, that's where we are. But as I say, I think Birmingham 2026 is the perfect kickstart to that.
Always a pleasure to chat to you, and thank you very much for your insights. Appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.
So Darren Campbell on the European Championships in Birmingham from August 10th to the 16th, as Michael said, All sessions will be available again with home straight seats on sale from this Tuesday, April 21st at 10 a.m. And you can register now at birmingham26.com to get more details and be ready for that sale. And just on the World Championships, and we'll talk more about the European Athletics Championships in a moment, but just on the World Championships last year, Michael, and those lack of relay medals, I thought it was great to hear Darren saying, look, I work with a really good boss in Paula Dunn, and we've sat down and we're gonna work out what has happened, and we've done that, and we want to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, he was very honest, wasn't he? Very candid. I think probably with the passing of a little bit of time, he said that the buck stopped with him. He took responsibility for it. And the reason I think it was such a big story at the time is, as we mentioned there in the interview, we went from 5 out of 5 relay medals in Paris at the Olympic Games, which was a phenomenal achievement, to the game then getting none a year later. And it's how do you go from 5 out of 5 to 0 out of 5? And I think he was pretty upfront about what happened. I think obviously losing some key athletes, so the likes of Matthew Hudson-Smith, who wasn't at the races for those championships. I mean, bearing in mind 12 months previously, he had lost that gold medal at the Olympics by such a close margin. So I don't think you can necessarily account for that. And then inevitably, I think it is difficult in that post-Olympic year. And perhaps we don't appreciate quite as much about how that might affect athletes. We have a low. I mean, I've written a blog called Let It Go, Let It Go, Let It Go, because I couldn't let the Paris Olympics go. And all I got to do was sort of stand pitch side, track side, lake side, or whatever it is. If you've actually competed in it, it must be very hard, I think, to get back to that level in that following season. And I think that's perhaps something that, until that conversation with Darren that I've had today, I probably hadn't appreciated so much.
Does it show, though, very quickly on it that maybe the strength and depth isn't there? Because, as you say, you want to rest. Maybe there are some people who want to rest after an Olympics. They don't want to necessarily go for the first year. We'll talk about Adam Peaty later, who's back after a year off of competing. But so actually, there isn't that strength and depth. Well, we look at the Americans, and of course, they can just turn out anybody, and they win medals or win races, as we saw with the World Indoor Championships as well.
Yeah, and I think we did see that, as you say, at the World Indoors in Poland, because, you know, we put the women's 4x400 meters group together, and we pulled Dina Asher-Smith into it, and we pulled Keely Hodgkinson into it. I think if you had Dina and Keely with their split times, and maybe added a Nielsen sister in there, or a fit Amber Anning, you know, we might have been talking about a medal there as well. There isn't necessarily that strength in depth. That said, when you look back to the women's 4x400 meters relay team that won the medal in Paris, we had 8 on the podium, because we had 4 that ran in the heat, and then we had a different 4 that ran in the final. Some of those, like Jodie Williams, of course, after the Olympic Games retired. Something else that Darren was saying there. I think it's about being well drilled as well, which sometimes can affect the Americans when they are a bit more fluid in their lineups. It doesn't always work for them in terms of getting the baton around, but it's obviously something that Darren and Paula Dunn have identified in that post-Olympic year. Just finally on this, before we move on, I just thought it was really interesting how much we were having a conversation there about Birmingham and the European Championships, but you could just tell his focus is on LA. And I said that to him at the end. I was like, you just keep talking about LA. That is essentially, I think, where he'll be judged again. And we got 5 out of 5 in Paris. Let's wait and see what happens in 2028.
And we know that LA is only 2 years away. It's not that far away, is it?
No, and qualification and everything else and selections are beginning now for it. So, yeah, it's going to come around alarmingly quickly. This is Anything But Footy. We will continue, as John says, to chat European Athletics Championships with another European gold medalist in a moment. We'll also review Milano Cortina with her as well. The brilliant Ashleigh Nelson coming up on the podcast.
But let's bring you some other news from the Games, because we could talk about the Olympics and Paralympics all the time, and more withdrawals from the elite field of the London Marathon, which is coming up at the end of the month. Michael's done the boat race. He's off to the World Snooker this weekend, and he's got the marathon to do at the end of the month as well. But he won't be watching Team GB's Emile Carrès, who finished 3rd in London in 24, and of course a brilliant 4th place in the Olympics that year as well. He's withdrawn again from the 26.2 mile race on Sunday. April 26th, wasn't in it last year from memory as well. The 28-year-old picked up a calf issue, which hampered his training throughout March. I suppose, Michael, it does show how difficult it is to be fit and ready for these certain marathons at each time of the year. It just doesn't happen sometimes with the amount of work that you're doing to get yourself fit for that, for those races.
Yeah, I mean, we do talk about it with sprinters, don't we? About, being available, making yourself available for the big championships. You can make that very same argument as you've done there for marathon runners as well, because they've got to go and earn some money, and that involves competing at the majors. They also, though, want to go to the Olympic Games or the World Championships and pick up the titles too. And if it's a marathon that you're competing, you just simply, I don't think, can't do any of that. Bit better news for the organisers. Alex Yee's back, the Olympic triathlete, double gold medalist, of course, who is going to be running as a pacemaker, having taken part in it last year. But the reigning world champion, Perez Shepchircha, the 2024 London champion, who's from Kenya, she's also out of the race. The 32-year-old has failed to recover enough from the stress fracture that she picked up in Valencia at the end of last year. Looking forward to Marathon Day. Boat Race Day was good. Marathon Day also a good day in the London calendar.
And it does mean that Julia Patinane, the 2025 World Championship bronze medalist and Uruguayan record holder, who grew up in the UK, of course,
and friend of the pod.
Very much so. A guest on Great British Bosses last year. You can have a listen back to that if you would like. She will be replacing Perez at the Elite Women's Press Conference, which takes place the Thursday before the race. So watch out for there. We knew she'd be invited. We said that she would be invited when we spoke to her. And well done, Hugh Brayshaw and the team for getting her for the London Marathon.
Breaking news as we record the podcast. It's been a busy day. It's a busy day today. Marathon world record holder Bridget Kosgei is one of nearly a dozen athletes who've been refused their request to switch nationality to Turkey. The World Athletics Nationality Review Panel have turned down the application of 11 athletes, so 5 Kenyans, 3 Jamaicans, a Nigerian and a Russian, all seeking to transfer their allegiance. The panel found that the applications formed part of a coordinated recruitment strategy led by the Turkish government, acting through a wholly owned and financed government club to attract overseas athletes through lucrative contracts with the aim of facilitating transfers of allegiance and enabling those with athletes to represent Turkey at future international competitions, including the LA 2028 Olympic Games. So we are not getting in to an international transfer market in athletics. That's where I think we were perhaps, and it has happened, as we know, with some other nations before, that is perhaps where it was heading.
Yeah, we've seen Qatar doing it, of course, previously, and Saudi Arabia have announced this week that they're re-looking at how much money they're investing in the world of sport. We all know what's going on in the Middle East at the moment, and they're looking at whether they continue to fund the likes of Live Golf and other sporting endeavours that they've been investing in. And so you can kind of see where it was going, and World Athletics have come out and very firmly said this is not happening with Turkey. Now, very just quickly on Turkey, Michael, remember Czechia, who were the Czech Republic? They changed the name and we had to now call them Czechia. Turkey officially 18 months ago, a year ago, have changed their name to Turkey. So you will see that spelling. I think it's Turkey, but with an I-Y-E at the end. We saw it at the Winter Olympics. We still say Turkey. It's obviously a British way of saying it. But Turkey, you'll hear it on the TV adverts, visit Turkey, etc. They have officially changed the name to Turkey.
So something else for us to get our heads around, along with synchronized swimming's now artistic swimming, indoor athletics is now short track athletics. And we just have to obviously respect the rebranding, if you like.
We're talking 100 days till some of the big UK events, Commonwealth Games, European Athletics Championships. But LA 2028, as I mentioned, isn't that far away, just 2 years away. And in fact, the first qualification begins for the British team from Paddle UK in kayak cross and canoe slalom, with the World Championships taking place this year in Oklahoma, which is actually the venue for the LA Games as well. They're just 1,300 miles away from LA. Congratulations, though, to Mallory Franklin, of course, the Tokyo silver medalist from 2021. She's back in the senior team after giving birth to her first baby. So congratulations to her. She's back in the British team for 2026. So are Paris 2024 medalists Joe Clark, Adam Burgess and Kimberly Woods, brother and sister Sam and Lois Lever, also named in the 11-strong squad, which sees Ryan Wesley, Peter Linkstead, Ben Haler and Bethan Forrow making their Paddle UK squad lineup. So we'll keep an eye on them in the weeks and months to come.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to chat to the guys as well. Always good to speak to those at Paddle UK. And all of this coming as the world's best canoe, slalom and kayak cross athletes will return to the Lee Valley Whitewater Centre next summer. The International Canoe Federation has selected the 2012 Olympic venue as one of their locations for the 2027 Canoe Slalom World Cup Series. That World Cup will take place from August the 13th to the 15th, 2027. Also marks the 15th anniversary of London 2012. How did that happen?
We're getting old.
One of the few brand new venues, of course, that opened for the games. But when we talk about legacy of the Olympics, at least it's happened at Lee Valley with the Whitewater Centre, and also pretty close to where you live.
Yes, exactly. And always worth a trip down there. Nice to walk around the Lee Valley. You met your cousin there once randomly, didn't you? Just walking around. Yes. So, yeah, always worth going there. Now, as you mentioned earlier, I'm still not happy about not getting Olympic tickets for the LA, but organisers of the Games have revealed their strong commitment to ensure 75% of cash spent putting on the Games will go directly to the greater Los Angeles region. In effect, putting America first, if you like. Chair Reynold Hoover saying hosting the Olympic and Paralympic Games is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to invest in Los Angeles and strengthen the business that power our region. And you can understand that. We've seen it with London and what they've done in East London. The V&A Museum actually opening as part of the legacy of the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park this weekend as well. So you can see why LA are putting America first in this case.
That said, you're still not a happy presence around the Anything But Footy HQ over the lack of tickets to date. Now, I'm told the swimming sessions available have sold out already for LA 2028, and they will be taking place in the giant American football SoFi Stadium, home of the Rams and the Chargers. And Adam Ramsey Petey has set his sights on being there, as we know. The newly married Olympic champion, hence the slight name change now, has returned to competitive swimming for the first time since that silver with COVID at the Paris 2024 Games. He's won 2 national breaststroke titles in as many days at the Aquatics GB Swimming Championships taking place in London. Scotland's Duncan Scott, ahead of Glasgow 2026, retained his title in the men's 200 metres butterfly, while Lauren Cox won the women's 100 metres backstroke. And those championships continue all week. We'll have a full roundup in a future episode. This is Anything But Footy, the Olympic and Paralympic podcast, talking Olympics all the time. We'll catch up with Ashleigh Nelson. We've got Winter Olympics and we've got European Athletics Championships to talk about next.
Pepsi Prebiotic Cola in original and cherry vanilla. That Pepsi taste you love with no artificial sweeteners and 3 grams of prebiotic fiber. Pepsi Prebiotic Cola. Unbelievably Pepsi.
We are Anything But Footy, looking ahead to LA and gearing up for Glasgow. But we're also in the home straight, as we've heard earlier, and there's new tickets available there too, for the first ever European Athletics Championships in the UK this summer. I know we keep saying it, but I still can't believe it. I can't believe I've grown up watching European champions be crowned from Great Britain, from the greats of Gunnell and Colin Jackson and Darren Campbell and everyone. And we've never staged it in this country. It is quite incredible. Birmingham's Alexander Stadium hosting the championships from August 10th. And European champion Ashleigh Nelson won Commonwealth medals there, of course, in 2022 as well. And she's just hung up her scarf and hat after competing in the women's bobsleigh for Team GB with fellow athlete Adele Nicol at the Milano Cortina Winter Olympics. So we wanted to know, how was that? And also look ahead to these European Athletics Championships. And Michael has been catching up with Ashleigh.
How do you reflect on your Winter Olympic experience now?
Oh, Michael, it was incredible. Like, I stood on the start line on the block on my 35th birthday at the Olympic Games, not having done the sport for only like 18 months. I mean, that says it all, really. You couldn't see my face because I obviously had a helmet on with a blackout visor, but inside I had a huge smile and my cheeks were like up here. I was just so happy, and I know the outcome wasn't ideally what me and Adele would have liked. We would have liked to come a few spaces, a few spots earlier, but I can't be mad at it. Like, after not making the Paris Games due to my Achilles surgery the year before, I thought my career was over. So to have that opportunity for Adele to have reached out and given me that opportunity, I'll be forever grateful.
And it was a special Olympics, wasn't it? A special team to be part of, I felt, with Team GB. They really captured the public imagination. I don't know how much you were aware of that in Cortina, but people really got behind you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I had people saying, we didn't know when you were on, so we just kept turning the games on every day, but now we're watching it every day and we just can't wait to see you. So I think people, we weren't aware of it, but they really did get behind. And then obviously you had Matt Weston and his gold rush with Tabby. And I think they really got the support going early on in the games. And then we did quite well, didn't we? We had a lot of medals from the skiers and everything. So it was just incredible. We really appreciate just how much everybody did get behind us.
How did the Winter Games compare to your Summer Games experiences?
I think because of the size of the Winter Games, I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it was 354 or something like that. That was out at the Summer Games, and then we had like 53. So that just shows you the size of it. So it made it more intimate. And I think the fact that we weren't all in the same place, we were actually watching other people on the TV, which meant you caught up with people more. Like you actually were able to see them because it was all televised because they were all in different places. Whereas sometimes I think in the Summer Games, there's so much going on. There's so many people, you get a bit lost. And the only time you see people is in the dining hall, and you don't know whether to say hello or not because you're not quite sure how they've done. So you don't want to put your foot in it. So I definitely say, although the Summer Games is absolutely incredible, for me, this Winter Games was just more intimate. And I felt like I knew what was going on a lot more.
Final question on the Winter Games before we start talking about the European athletics. Are we going to see you back in the bobsleigh? Have you made any decisions about what happens next yet?
Yeah, so I've committed to going back to training over the summer and just going to take it from there really and see what happens. And the World Championships are next year in Lillehammer, and GB historically always do really well there. Adele drives really well there, so just watch the space really.
So let's talk about the European Athletics Championships. I've seen Adele's throwing that shot put pretty far at the minute. I know she's got a Commonwealth Games standard already.
Yeah.
You know what it's like to win a gold medal in Birmingham. You did it at the Commonwealth Games. So with these new home straight tickets that are on sale, what would you say to people thinking about maybe coming to watch the European Athletics Championships?
Don't think about it. Go and do it. Go and buy the tickets. Having been in the stadium, the new stadium, should I say, at the Commonwealth Games with all the big the built up tiers and things like that, I can't tell you what the atmosphere was like. When I was running down the home straight myself as part of the relay, I couldn't even hear myself think. Like usually you can hear people, you can hear footsteps, you can hear your competitors breathing, you can hear everything, but I couldn't hear a thing at all. And I think with it being the first time that the UK has hosted the European Championships outdoors, it's going to be, the atmosphere is going to be, it's going to be second to none. And I know myself, I want to be part of it, and I think everybody else should get involved and want to be part of it too. Especially the home straight, you're going to be up close and personal with all your favourite athletes. So I think it's a brilliant opportunity to see some live athletics.
And I imagine that your career just goes in a bit of a blur. It must just go by so quickly. So in terms of seeing your favourite athletes, would you urge all the big names to come? It's a difficult summer with an Ultimate World Championships, a Commonwealth Games and a European Championships, obviously all in, well, 2 in Great Britain, the Ultimate in Europe in Budapest. Would you urge your fellow competitors to come and just compete?
Yeah. I mean, the year that I won my bronze medal at the European Championships in the 100 metres, I'd actually ran earlier that year in Glasgow at the Commonwealth Games, got a bronze medal there in the 4x100 metre relay. And I think that really set me up to come to the European Championships, which were in Zurich at the time, to then run and run really well in the 100 metres. Like I said, I got my bronze, and then actually we got a gold in the 4x100 meter relay and ran a British record at the time. So I think as an athlete, I would encourage other athletes to come, because you just don't know how long your career is going to be. And if it's one thing that I regret, is not saying yes to more of the big competitions. So I would definitely encourage people to come, especially the Brits, because it's a home games. You don't get many of those in your career. So come and actually have the crowd that you deserve, and the kudos that you deserve, because there's nothing like a British crowd. We've all seen that from having the anniversary games and things like that. The Commonwealth Games that were here, I've never seen a crowd other than up in Glasgow, because the fans up there were very, very loud as well. I've never really felt that kind of atmosphere, that kind of buzz.
And when you won your individual bronze back in 2014, it was quite historic at the time. So I think it'd been about 40 years since we'd had an individual medalist in that event. But obviously it's paved the way for the likes of Dina Asher-Smith, Amy Hunt, Daryl Neater, and other names that I could go on listing in terms of British sprinting in the women's game at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, I do like to think of myself as a bit of a trailblazer, but
You are.
But I mean, they've all achieved brilliant things in their own rights. I think, from memory, I think only Dina and Daryl have won medals in the 100 meters since then. I know Amy's obviously doing her thing as well. I'm sure it won't be long before she comes away with some more medals. But yeah, I think that for me, it was just, God, I can't even, it just makes me feel emotional talking about it. Like, it's just such an incredible memory. But yeah, I definitely think that since then the girls have come along, and it's such an exciting kind of history to be part of. Having won that medal, being the first British female to do that in 40 years, even though it was in 2014, it's still a memory that I hold really, really dear to myself. Yeah.
So just finally then, time to come and watch and see people make new memories in 2026 in Birmingham.
And that's the thing, like, as much as that's one of my favourite memories, and we, at the time at the Europeans, we broke the British record. It's been broken again and again and again, and that's what you want at the end of the day. As much as you'd love your memory to be the forefront of everyone's mind, it's all about the new talent, everything coming through, passing the baton on, not to be cheesy, but to the next generation. And I think the girls are absolutely doing a brilliant job of that. And when I watch them, as much as I want to be like, oh, I remember when I did that, oh, I want to be part of that, it's like, you go, girls. Like, I'm here for it. I'm here to support them, and it's their time, because I've had my time.
Well, who knows? We might see Amy Hunt, Dina Asher-Smith in the Winter Olympics in the future. You've shown it can be done.
I can't speak for Amy, but I doubt Dina will be there. Knowing the conversations me and her have had, I don't think Winter Olympics is for Dina. She's definitely a track and field girl, and she's definitely a fashion girl. The winter sports is not for her.
Well, Ashleigh, lovely to catch up, and thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you so much, Michael. Really appreciate it.
So Ashleigh Nelson on the European Championships in Birmingham, August 10th to the 16th. I have got some tickets already, so I can say I'm pleased, relieved about that. Everyone's breathing a sigh of relief. I'm not going to be moaning. Home straight seats, though, are on sale from Tuesday, April 21st, 10 a.m, and you can register now at birmingham26.com.
And Ashleigh confirming in that interview that she and Adele Nicol will be back in training ahead of the new bobsleigh season and targeting the next World Championships. And I say that because Adele Nicol has thrown the B qualifying distance, because we know she's a dual athlete, also throws the shot put for Wales, and has thrown the qualifying B distance for the Commonwealth Games. So we could see Adele come back. I wonder whether she'll be British champion again in shot put this year, whether that will then obviously maybe potentially secure a European Championship selection. A Commonwealth Games, she'll definitely be targeting a return there, and then back to the bob with Ashleigh as well. What a life. I hope for Adele Nicol. And pretty good on the podcast as well, as we know this year. A couple of other just bits and pieces to tidy up for you. In badminton, Kirsty Gilmore has become the first British woman in 40 years to win a European singles title. There was also a doubles title for Ben Lane and Sean Vendy as well. Good tournament in Spain. And we've had a flurry of retirements in the last couple of days as well. Figure skater Luke Digby, who skated with Anastasia Weipen-Law at the Winter Games earlier this year, has hung up his skates. They were 5 times British pairs champion. Anna, as we understand it, will skate on, but obviously now is potentially looking for a new partner. Beth Dobbin, who represented Team GB in Tokyo as a semi-finalist over 200 metres, won the Commonwealth Games bronze medal with Scotland in a relay in 2022, has also announced her retirement after a 3-year battle with a serious and life-changing health issue. We wish her well. And Jamie Murray, a 7-time major doubles champion, Davis Cup winner back in 2015, and competed at 4 Olympic Games, has also announced his retirement as well. I'm sure you've probably got a line just to say about Jamie Murray before we move on to the last one.
Yeah, I think Jamie Murray opened the door for Andy to walk through it and do everything he did. And I think Andy's always grateful for his older brother doing that. But Jamie, in himself, I think he became the first men's Wimbledon title winner in the mixed doubles for a number of years before Andy, of course, lifted the singles title. And as you say, a 4-time Olympian. It's something not to be sniffed at all for the achievements. And as you rightly tell me, when I often say, "Oh, who are the famous brothers and sisters or brothers who've competed together at the Olympics," we can never forget the Murrays and what they have delivered from that small town in Scotland.
And one other retirement just to mention, Axel Brown. He's the bobsleigh pilot who's actually from my part of the world in North Yorkshire, which is why I followed him fairly closely. But he was the bobsleigh pilot not for Team GB, but for Trinidad and Tobago. And Axel Brown has also announced his retirement, and he sent me this voice note all about it.
This is Axel Brown, pilot of the Trinidad and Tobago bobsleigh team here. Wanted to say thank you for all your support over the last month or so, which has been kind of the craziest month of my entire life, really. So for those of you that don't know, I was in the Milan 2026 Winter Olympics. It was my second Winter Olympics, but the first time for me and the first time ever that Trinidad and Tobago's had a 4-man team there as well as a 2-man team. So it was a historic occasion for me and for the team, and it was just incredible. I was in the Beijing Olympics as well 4 years ago, and that was kind of marred by COVID protocols and restrictions and everything. So to get out there and have the real full experience was nothing short of life affirming, really. The actual competition itself, our mission going in was quite well publicized, actually, was just don't come last. We know that out there as a Caribbean nation, with an unlikely ginger-haired white pilot from Yorkshire, we were not going to be challenging for the medals. So our mission was like, out of the 17, you have to be in the top 17 best nations in the world to even be there. So if we can beat any one of those other top 17 nations, then we're doing pretty well. And mission accomplished. We managed to do that. We were the 16th highest nation. We were 25th overall because some nations have duplicates. And it was just absolutely incredible. 4-man, unfortunately, didn't go our way. We actually had a mechanical fault in the second heat, which led to the sled flipping out of corner 7, which was equal parts terrifying and disappointing. But for us, just being there, taking the start line was our kind of gold medal, and we weren't the only ones to go over. So it wasn't just us. But no, overall, it was a spectacular experience and one that I'll remember for the rest of my life. I grew up in Yorkshire, born and raised in Harrogate, to a British father and a Trinidad and Tobago mum. So, yeah, I've had dual citizenship, or dual nationality rather, my whole life via my mum. I competed for Great Britain for 7 years, and then in COVID just decided I wanted to do something new and exciting and positive, because I was getting a bit bogged down in the how the British setup was being run. So yeah, got out there and did something new, and it's been the best decision I ever made. It's been so positive, so warm, and so exciting the entire time. But yeah, I think growing up in Yorkshire, you don't necessarily think you're going to go to an Olympic Games, let alone for Trinidad and Tobago. But here I am.
So a flurry of retirements in the world of Olympic and Paralympic sport. And that is what we do. We keep you up to date right across all the sports, all the disciplines, winter and summer. And we do that 52 weeks of the year. We talk about the Olympics and the Paralympics all the time, not just once every 4 years. Don't forget, go to our website, anythingbutfooty.com. You can read our latest blogs on there and find out more about us. You can listen to some of the bits and pieces that we do as well. You can always follow the latest breaking news. If you've listened to all the podcasts and you're up to date, on our social media channels as well. And you can listen to our Olympics music playlist on Spotify as well. This is Anything But Footy. We are the Olympic and the Paralympic Sport Podcast. We are gearing up for Glasgow and we are looking ahead to LA.